homie.
What happened next?
That nigga came to court and told on me.
Put that on something.
I sold my soul, homie. Called the highway patrol on me, plus the sheriffs and cops. He told him my name was Eric and I carried a Glock. Soon as you start blowing shots, and niggas going to tail. They'll have a meeting with the cops and then you going to jail. They'll tell him about the shooting, take him, show him his well. DA trying to see your cash, they gon' throw him the nails. They wanna throw me up in the cell and have me with a L again. Back to strip searchers and guards, read my mail again. Had me far away in the bay, I'm talking Pelican. Eating cold ass soy burgers and warm gelatin. I'm far too intelligent to fall for that twice. Niggas yelling gang gang and ain't about that life. And they'll turn rat right in front of your face. Get you found guilty plus 100 years on the case. Your mama in the court with tears running all on her face. Her baby shackled feet, hands and waist.
Goddamn.
These niggas ain't.
Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories. I'm going to share one with y'all today. If you happen to like the video, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. Most importantly, hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. Yeah, like I told y'all, man, the flow is nothing like Curtis Blow. Yeah, that's me gassing on the intro. If you want to check out more of my songs, go to my YouTube playlist, scroll down to gas stations, and you will find some of my music there. Now let's hop right up into this video right here, man. So yeah, you see the topic, man. We talking about cell phone treachery, you know. Yeah, it was crazy, right? Because when all of a sudden prisons started being flooded with cell phones, you know, there was a lot of treachery, a lot of backstabbing going on, a lot of deceitful things going on, right? So imagine first and foremost being locked up for 20 years, 30 years, you know, never even seeing a cell phone, never having access to a cell phone, because in a lot of prisons in the California Department of Corrections, depending on what prison you were at, you only got one phone call a day, one 15-minute phone call a day. And that's considering you was A1A. And what A1A is, it's a privileged work status. So you either had to have a job, you had to be taking a trade or something like that, you know, going to work in some type of form or capacity. If you didn't have a job, then you was A2B. And so that meant you got one phone call, one 15-minute phone call every 30 days, right? And so sometimes when I first got to prison, it took me like 2.5 years to get a job, right? So sometimes it's through no fault of your own why you haven't even been assigned to a job. Because when I first came to prison, so what they was doing, they still had day for day. So if you didn't have an indeterminate sentence, which is known as a life sentence, let's say you had 10 years. So for every day you worked, they would take a day off your sentence. And so, of course, since they wasn't giving any lifers any parole dates, the first priority of the institutions was to give the people a job who were who were getting day for day. So you could be sitting at a prison for a long time without a job. Then if you happen to get into a fight, go to the hole, or have some type of disciplinary infraction and you lost your job, then you could be waiting a long time. So when the phones finally came in and yards started being flooded, those who could afford phones definitely was trying to get a phone, you know. I remember I was in the cell with a dude by the name of Miles from New Orleans, and he was talking to me about getting a cell phone. And I was telling him, oh, no, Miles, I'm cool, man. I got a few people that I can call. So one day he bought a phone in. I'll never forget. It was a Verizon flip phone. And so once he started hopping on Facebook and going on YouTube and doing all these different things, because I didn't realize the cell phones had all those different capabilities. You know, I came to jail in 1994. I had 2 cell phones before, but the only thing you could do was make phone calls on them, you know. So I didn't know that you could go on Facebook and all these social media sites and these apps where you could, you know, try to find you a girlfriend. So when he brought the cell phone in, I said, oh yeah, man, I got to get me one of those, right? And so I remember later on, I ended up getting one, and I paid $600 for it, for a Verizon flip phone. At some point, when I was thumbing through an advertisement sheet for Radio Shack, I seen that the phone that I had purchased only cost $15 on the street. So yeah, it was an astronomical markup. You know, people often ask me too, Chill, hey man, how did the cell phones get in prison? You know, well, don't believe the theory about you got some dude outside who should have been in the NFL throwing footballs over, throwing a football over full of cell phones, man. A lot of times you'll have people who work inside the prison, whether it's in the capacity of a guard or in the capacity known as a free staff. A free staff could be it could be a nurse. It could be a person who's in there who's in charge of the painting crew. It could be the instructor at the electrical shop, the instructor at the auto mechanic shop. It could be a person who's the head of the kitchen. So it's anybody basically who works in the prison, but not in the capacity of a guard. So that's how they come in a lot of times, you know. And so, you know, once the markup became so astronomical, of course, you have people who are interested in making a lot of money, you know, and you may get at a guard or whoever and ask them, hey, man, you know, how about bringing some phones in? And they'll tell you no and this and that. And then later on, they get to thinking about, well, damn, you know, I kind of do need some extra money. And they'll probably say, oh, I'm only going to do it one time. And then, you know, you hit them off with that big old payment. And then they want to continuously do it. And greed kicks in, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much how the cell phones get in, you know. But now, like I said, or imagine just even being in jail. You don't necessarily have to be a lifer or have to have been in jail for 15, 20 years. Imagine being in jail 6, 7 years, you know, 3, 4 years, you know, unable to call your family, unable to talk to your loved ones. You may have a young daughter or a son that's in school, and you want to talk to them. You know, you feel they need your guidance or whatever the issue is. You may have a sick family member out there, or like most convicts locked up in prison, you want to get on there and just reconnect with friends, be able to try to find you a girlfriend, so on and so forth, right? So a lot of times you'll hear administration talking about, oh man, you know, these dudes, they like to get on here and make drug deals and have people killed. And I'm not gonna say those things don't happen to a small degree, but the average convict that has a phone, man, he just wants to call his family, and he wants to try to, you know, get on some of these sites, get him a girlfriend, some of these dating sites, and watch a little X-rated TV, man, keeping it 100, right? But like I said, all of a sudden, when a person is able to do this and he hasn't been able to get on the phone, but maybe once a month, and then sometimes, you know, you call and people aren't accepting your call. So once he runs across a cell phone, man, it was a lot of deceit coming out, a lot of scandalous stuff going on, man, a lot of, you know, people just doing treacherous things to try to get cell phones, man. And so I was cool with this blood, man. He was a real cool blood, man. He was out of the east side of LA, man. I'm gonna just call him GS, man. GS probably was about 5'8", 5'9", dark-skinned, real muscle-bound and chunky. I would probably say he was probably about 190, 195, you know. Real cool dude, man. Me and him happened to live on the same tier. So we would talk a lot, you know, try to figure out plays. A play is basically just a way to get some, you know, a way to get some money up in there. So, you know, we was hustling and stuff. And excuse me, this particular story, if I didn't say, this particular story takes place at CMC East, probably around 2011, somewhere around there, 2011, 2012 or whatever, right there, right? And so, you know, like I said, I mean, I've seen a whole lot of scandalous stuff, man. I see sometimes a person let somebody else use their cell phone, and, you know, once they get on there and they get to calling it and they see how nice it is to be able to call at will, they may say, hey, man, the police came by, I had to flush it. Man, I had to flush your cell phone, or I had to throw it out the window or something, you know, something like that, just to be able to use the cell phone. I've even seen some dudes, you know, when you let them use your cell phone, they say, hey, man, I took that. That's gone, man. So do what you gonna do. You know what I'm saying? And if they felt that a dude was soft enough and they could treat him like that, they do that. You know, I've seen dudes tell people, okay, man, look, I got a cell phone for you, man. Send $1,000 to this number. And they send the money, never get the phone. So all type of stuff was going on, man, behind those cell phones. Sometimes you might be trying to be cool, let somebody use your cell phone. You get it back when, you know, whenever you were supposed to get it back. Then maybe 3 or 4 days later, your girlfriend call you, hey man, you know somebody named such and such? Yeah, they called me and was trying to talk to me. And now you got to go out here and do something to this dude. So it was just a lot of, you know, problematic things occurring behind these cell phones, right? So back to my partner, man, GS, man. GS was a real cool dude. Me and him used to chop it up all the time, right? And so one day, and now GS ended up getting a cell phone. You know, he had a couple of them, but one day in particular, now GS also happens to have a celly by the name of Black. That was Black's real name. Black was from Alabama or somewhere. He was a blood from Alabama or another state down south. I can't remember exactly, but I believe it was Alabama, right? So, you know, Black was cool, man. He was cool. You know, the Bloods accepted him. He was hanging out with them, so on and so forth, right? So, basically, one day, GS happens to come back to the cell, and his cell phone is gone, man. He don't know where his cell phone is, and of course, there's nobody in the cell but him and his celly, Black. So he asking Black, hey man, what's up? Where my cell phone at? Black is telling him, hey man, listen, I don't know where your cell phone is, right? Which is crazy because if nobody's in the cell but me and you, when I went to work, it was here in my hiding spot, and now it's not in my hiding spot. Any person is gonna logically assume and feel like his celly was responsible. Now, did his celly have a part in it? I don't know, right? I do know when GS would go to work, you know, he had to be going to work for a long time, maybe, you know, 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours. So that's plenty of time. Now, it's possible that, you know, Black, by being from another state, and this is just a theory, he's trying to fit in with the Bloods, because a lot of times, you know, you'll have your own homies scheming on your cell phone or whatever. You know, you may ask them, you may ask one of your homies who you know who has a cell phone, hey man, let me use a cell phone. He may let you use it a time or two, or may not let you use it at all. And people get jealous and envious of those type of things. So maybe, and this is just a theory, maybe some of those Bloods put Black up to stealing GS's cell phone or whatever the reason. Who knows, you know, exactly what happened. You know, I just know that when GS returned to the cell, his cell phone wasn't there. Now, Black, I would say Black was probably about 5'8", 5'9", maybe 170, you know, wasn't a big dude, you know, maybe probably in his early 20s, somewhere around there, you know. And so, like I say, GS is questioning him like, hey man, what's up? I'm not playing, you know, where my cell phone at? You know, Black, for whatever reason, he didn't know where it was, or he was claiming he didn't know where it was. Now, also, while GS was going to work, here's another theory. It's possible that he let one of those Bloods come in the cell, and they happen to know where GS hid his phone. Maybe he'd come to the cell, because a lot of times, you know, you got a cell phone, you go to work, you tell your celly, hey man, listen, don't be messing with my cell phone. Your celly knows your work hours, knowing you're not supposed to be back for 6-7 hours. He may still go in your hiding spot, whip that phone out and call who he has to call. Sometimes the urge for some dudes was just too, you know, it was just something they couldn't resist. So, you know, these are just theories. Like I say, I have no idea. I do know GS's cell phone was missing. So maybe, you know, Black let somebody else come up in there, and when he wasn't paying attention, they stole the cell phone. Who knows, man? But anyway, when GS get back from work and he go to get that phone is not there. So after a while, you know, after maybe 5-10 minutes of him asking, hey man, what's up? I'm not playing, man. Where my cell phone at? Boop, beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, boop, bop, boop, bop, boop, boop. I'm telling you, he beat the brakes off Black, sent Black up out of there, you know, bust Black up real tough, you know, bust him up real tough. So then he go outside, and at some point in time, he get at the rest of the Bloods, you know, he huffing and puffing, talking about his cell phone, whatever. You know, I don't know the conversation that he had with them, if he felt that they had something to do with it, whatever, right? So I don't know if it was the next day or later that night or whatever, but some of his own homies, you know, they come to the building and they holler up, because, you know, at CMC East, depending on what cell you in, if you're on the outside wall, your cell faces the yard, and people can come up from the ground, from outside on the yard, and talk to you in your window. They told him, hey, you know, come on out, man. We got your cell phone, homie. Come on out and get your cell phone. Yeah, you know, we got it. So later that night, when the yard opened, GS goes outside with the intention of getting his cell phone. So he walks over there, to go talk to the other Bloods who said they had his cell phone, and they over there, in a big circle. It's a few of them or whatever, man. And when GS goes up over there to get the cell phone, boop, bop, boop, all of a sudden they hop on his helmet real tough, boop, beep, bop, boop, bop, boop. It's a few of them. They jumped on him. Also, I think a couple of them, or at least one of them, had either some rocks in a sock or a lock in a sock, man. And so yeah, they got on GS's helmet real tough. Beep, boop, bop, beep. Eventually, the CO see what's going on. They put the yard down. They come, they get GS and a couple other dudes, and they send them to the hole, man. And that was the last that I seen of GS until maybe a few years ago, a year or two ago. I happened to see him on one of these social media sites. He had got out, man. But yeah, that's a cold situation, You're locked up. You're doing time with dudes. You consider these dudes trustworthy. You consider these dudes your homies. You're willing to ride and get in trouble for these dudes. And then, behind something like a cell phone or something like that, man, dudes turn on you. But it's definitely an ugly situation in prison, And there was times that when I had my cell phone, I'd hear dudes in the hallway talking. It might be a Saturday and a dude say, "Dang, man, it's 10 o'clock, man. My visit was supposed to be up here 2 hours ago. Man, I'm wondering what's going on." By me being locked up, excuse me, by me being locked up, being in that situation before, that's definitely something that I could empathize with, right? And I remember on more than a few occasions, I heard people in the hallway talking like that, having a conversation. And I almost wanted to invite one of them in my cell, tell him, "Hey, homie, come in here, whip my phone out and tell him, 'Hey, man, here, call your people.'" But now, with all this treachery and stuff, going on, I had to be extremely selective, because at the end of the day, you may be trying to do somebody a favor, then they do something scandalous and try to lock up on your phone or whatever. Now you have to go outside and hurt this dude, get yourself in a situation when all you was trying to do was help a dude, right? So it was very few individuals who, when I had my cell phone, I would let them know, that I had a cell phone, because like I said, man, I seen a lot of scandalous stuff happen once them cell phones came into play. But anyway, man, you already know who it is. It's your boy 16 to Life. Resume normal program.